I know you've been to the southern border in your home state of Texas many, many times, and now you've been to the border in Poland. What was that experience like?
It was really inspiring because the Polish people are, they first of all, they're very fond of America. They love being in NATO. They saw 30 years ago the danger of a resurgent Russia. That's why they approached NATO to join. They've been a success story, really, and they hate the Russians. And I kind of love them for that because they know what Putin's capable of. And they've also opened up their homes. Of those 200,000 refugees that are in Poland, there aren't any refugee camps. I mean, the Polish people have opened up their homes and taken them in. So it's very inspiring.
Just based on what you've seen, because, we show images of this almost every single day. You're looking at pictures of a checkpoint in Poland where these people are just crossing over from Ukraine. How tenable is the situation? This can't go on for months and months and months, can it?
No, it's tough. I mean, there's 10 million Ukrainians have been displaced. And as you just said, it was 2 million folks have fled outside the country just through Poland alone. And it's something, I mean, that's what war is, though. Unfortunately, this has become an economic siege and also a country under siege with the Ukraine. And the last person, Rob, that invaded the Ukraine was named Adolf, and it didn't end too well for him. So we have to do everything we can to provide the humanitarian, economic, and military aid to the Ukrainians so they can keep up the fight and finally expel the criminal invaders and the Russians.
Great point. Why do you think Poland, by the way, because there are several NATO countries that border Ukraine directly, but there are other NATO countries just to the north and just to the south. Why do you think the Polish border is the most popular place for Ukrainians to turn to as they flee their homes?
Well, Rob, we learned that when we were there. They have a lot of historical ties. There was a lot of the Ukraine that was part of Poland between World War I and II. There's a lot of ethnic ties there. There's a lot of familial ties. And they have a large border as well. And the Polish people, I really was impressed with them. They're a great ally. In fact, I saw a big statue in Warsaw of none other than Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
You don't see that too often.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
I didn't realize the Polish people were so fond of Americans. I like that.
Yeah, no, it was great. And, the Romanian interior minister, we had a very powerful moment where he looked us all in the eye and explained that he had to tell his 9-year-old daughter what war meant and why Putin was harming Ukrainian children and why she and other Romanian children would be safe because they have a friend in the United States of America. He looked us all in the eye. He was speaking through an interpreter and then in English said, "Thank you." So it was powerful and really eye-opening.
I mean, when used at its best, you forget the power that the United States can have, particularly overseas. Is there fear in Poland that if the Russian army does take Ukraine, Poland's next?
Absolutely. Not only with Poland, but Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Romania, Moldova, which is not part of the NATO alliance,
right,
is very scared. In fact, their prime minister said to us, please, and pleaded with us, please help us remain a member of the free world. And Rob, Biden's speech in Warsaw, I mean, every time that guy speaks, he's about as inspiring as a stale croissant. I mean, he's something else.
What did you make of that? Those 9 words, which will now live in infamy. These 9 words will be attached to Joe Biden, certainly as long as he's president and probably beyond. So Saturday in Warsaw, he says, quote, "For God's sakes, this man cannot remain in power." First, it seemed like that was ad-libbed. What'd you make of it?
I thought so, too, until I watched the video, and he was staring right into the teleprompter screen when he said it. So it's mind-boggling that these folks, they're talking about being provocative and escalatory, and then he says something like that. I mean, hell, just give them the Polish MiGs and let's give them artillery pieces on the down low and quiet and stop calling for the removal of their dictator.
So my mom is she's a retired nurse and she's worked with people with dementia for a long time. And this is, she hasn't treated President Biden, obviously. But maybe it's like she said, it can be similar to somebody who has dyslexia. You can jumble words in a teleprompter. And it seemed like maybe there was something written. I know that many different news outlets have asked for the actual text of the script of his speech that he was making, but maybe something was written and he just jumbled the words. And what came out was bad, was really bad to say the least.
Yeah, what came out wasn't helpful in any regard. We know what we need to do right now. Yeah. And that is, as I said before, arm the Ukrainians to the teeth, help them out economically and with humanitarian aid. I mean, this is going to have global impact. Nobody's really talking about the fact that the Ukraine feeds a great portion of the world, and with their farming and their wheat, And that planting season starts right now.
Right.
And they're fighting a war. So there could be, I mean, commodity prices are going to go through the roof in about 6 months.
Yeah, the breadbasket for not only Europe, but much of the world. A huge wheat provider as well. Congressman Fallon, great to have you back on. We appreciate you you going over there and filling us in on what it was like. Must have been unbelievable to be there and see that. Thank you, sir.